The Slow Boil, Episode 1, written and narrated by Aria De Larivière, published by Unfiltered Publishing, LLC. I am your host, Aria De Larivière. Before we start, I want to say this to you, directly listener. You are worthy. You are worthy of safety. You are worthy of love. And most of all, it was never your fault. If you found your way to the slow boil, I want you to know I am proud of you. Truly. I see the work you've done just to be here, and I honor that. But before we go any further, let me say this clearly. Your well-being comes first, always, hard stop. So if at any point this feels like too much, if you need to pause, take a breath, or walk away, I understand. I even encourage it, because it is often harder to take an image out of your mind than to put one in. This space is raw, it's unfiltered, it's for survivors of sexual assault, of domestic violence, of manipulation, and silence. But healing isn't about pushing through. It's about honoring where you are. So if today's not that day, that's okay. And for those of you who choose to stay, this is my story of the slow boil all the way to the fire. I wish I had known that coercion was not consent. Back then I didn't realize how often I was being pressured into things I wasn't ready for, just because I was afraid of losing him again, or worse, watching him cheat on me with one of my friends. And he did. He eventually cheated on me with the women who were supposed to become my daughter's godmothers. Proof that the abuse didn't end with him. He normalized betrayal, and in doing so, conditioned me to accept even worse, and called it love. That's manipulation. Plain and simple. He used to say things like, "Don't ruin it," every time I tried to speak up or say no. And somehow that phrase stuck with me. It followed me into my next relationship like a shadow, right alongside "this too shall pass." But now, with time and perspective, I can finally call it what it was. I wasn't love. I was control. I've only had 2 serious relationships in my life. The first was with the boy I loved more than air. He would become my slow boil. And the second was with my ex-husband, who came in like a hero, or so I thought. When I became pregnant for the second time, still in high school, I made the choice to keep the pregnancy, and that's when everything changed, not just for me, but in how he treated me. My ex did everything he could to make me feel alone. He told everyone I cheated, that the baby wasn't his. He turned our community against me. He got me kicked out of our church, said it made him uncomfortable. But what made him uncomfortable was accountability. He was the one who pushed the boundaries. He was the one who made every move to get me to that point. But when I was pregnant, when it became real, he punished me for it. One night after I had clearly said no, after I had denied him all evening, he waited until I fell asleep. And then, he violated me. I remember waking up, shattered, confused, disorientated. I told him what it was. I told him it was rape. He got angry. He told me it was romantic, that it was proof that we belonged together. But no, the unconscious cannot consent. And what's worse, my ex-husband would later use that same violation as punishment.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
My ex-husband would later use that same violation as punishment and control. He knew what it meant to me, and he used it anyway. Sleep was never safe for me, not as a child, not as a teenager, and not even as a mother. The sock in the door would bring me no peace. I was broken for so long, I thought I would never find my voice. But I found strength in the moments, in the small joys of my children's laughter, in the softness of my cat's fur. The light in the darkness is often hard to find, especially when those meant to keep us safe are the ones who hurt us. I was too little to make room and leave my room. I started putting the sock in my little's door jamb when I lived under the same roof as the mother who allowed strangers' entry to mine. I was only a teenager, and I still lived at home when I had my little. The love and fear, it was almost too much to carry. I did just that, though. Her love carried me. She would prove that hearts can expand to fit our children's love, and I would set the world on fire for her. And that's when I knew it was never my fault. Not as a child, not as a teen, and not as an adult. The burden of life became my only goal, to survive for her. It wasn't easy. I was kicked out of high school for being pregnant. I would later change schools, and it was there I met my ex-husband. The man I thought would be our family, our light, became my biggest shadow, my hardest villain to survive. But for now, it's 1994, and I'm just 15. And the boy I love more than air would never take no. The first time we finally had sex was after 9 months of him grabbing at me, begging for more, breaking up with me, and then begging me back. I was high on painkillers. I had broken my hand and was in severe pain, so high and barely remember speaking. The door to my room was open. He didn't use protection, and I lost my virginity to the sound of my entire family downstairs, there to make sure I didn't need surgery. I remember thinking that he didn't use protection, that he didn't even ask. The Darkwing Duck theme song was playing as he moved off of me, and that is how it began. That was the beginning of my slow boil. Not with fire, not with fury, but with silence, with pressure, with confusion, and a cartoon theme song I'll never hear the same way. That was the beginning of my slow boil. And maybe, if you're listening, you've had one too. This podcast isn't here to shock you. It's here to sit beside you, like a hand on your back in the quiet. To say you weren't crazy, you weren't dramatic. You were surviving. And surviving takes everything. So before I close, let me remind you, you are not alone. You were never the problem. And the things they made you carry were never yours to hold. Next time on the Slow Boil, I'll take you deeper into what came after the cycle, the shame, and the places I disappeared into just to stay. But for now, take care of yourself. Drink some water. Wrap yourself in something soft. And if nothing else, remember this. You were always worthy of love that didn't hurt. This has been an episode 1 of The Slow Boil, written and narrated by Aria De Larivière, published by Unfiltered Publishing, LLC. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're doing so much better than you think.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.